Good evening and welcome to the second episode of Tuesday Night Talking with Turts. My name's Craig Turton, or Turts, and it's an absolute privilege to be here again. Whoever thought we'd get into episode 2? But here we are, and I'm pumped to be here. As I said, my name's Craig Turton. I'm one of the proud co-founders of 100 Words Mate to Mate, a men's health organisation or foundation that started with 5 guys who just sat down one night, had a dinner, and talked about the way of the world and men's suicide. And we formed 100 Words on that night, and we're just trying to change the way men go about their communication with each other. So we've also started hashtag Mate to Mate at 8, and that's what tonight is all about. Tonight is a demonstration of what we want you to do. At 8 o'clock in the morning or at 8 o'clock every night, we want you to tune in and dial a friend, dial a mate, and ask him this. Now, what we want you to ask is, what we've just asked you to do there is rate your day out of 10. Okay? The rules of engagement with 100 Words and Mate to Mate is this. I ring a mate and I say to him, for example, "G'day mate, how's your day out of 10? And off we go. He gives me a number, he does the same to me, and there we go. So we're going to leave that up so when you engage tonight, you jump on, please tell us how your day's been out of 10. We'll give you some results later on. Now, tonight, we started last week with a good mate of mine, Mason Wood from the North Melbourne Football Club. Had a great response with last night with him. Now, tonight, we have got a dear friend of mine who is the most inspirational person I know. I really love this man, Luke. And there he is, Mr. Luke Richards. How are you, Lukey?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Mate,
I don't know whether I was going to cringe when you say something like that, but, you know.
Mate, you are a star, and I love you. And, mate, how's your day been out of 10, bud?
Mate, I've got to say a bit of 9. I think I almost probably swung for 10, but I reckon, 9 is a good number for me today.
Oh, mate, how are you? That's awesome.
What about yourself?
Oh, mate, the last couple of days, I've had a 4 over the last 2 days. I did homeschooling on Monday. And I jumped out of bed this morning and I got to work that quick, it wasn't funny. Anyone out there who's doing homeschooling, I tip my hat off to you, your wife, your girlfriend, your partner, anyone who's doing it, hats off. It is bloody hard, and I didn't realise how inadequate I was. I thought I was inadequate at a lot of stuff, and that's just one more bloody thing to add to the list. So that's why but mate, I'm sure after this conversation with you, I will be right up there. Now, the way I met this great man, just for all those people out there, is we had an event last September, and one of our key speakers from Movember pulled out the day before. And I got a phone call, and they said, look, we've replaced him with this gentleman by the name of Luke Richards. So I thought, well, I better go and have, I better see Luke, and I don't want him to walk into a function not knowing anyone and speak for us. So I went and had breakfast with him the morning of the event. And when I still remember, Luke, I sat down and we started having a coffee and a chat. And within the first 6 or 7 minutes, I said, stop. You are exactly what I'm looking for. You're a star. And I was so enthralled in your honesty and openness and conversation. And that is what 100 Words Mate to Mate is all about. And Bud, I cannot thank you enough. Every time I give you a call and say, hey, can you do something for us? Mate, you're the first there every time, and I love you for that. And you are a very inspiring person. I know you hate me saying that, but you are, mate. You inspire me. You inspire everyone you talk to. And let's just jump on the journey and take people to and show them and tell them what's happened, mate, to you.
Yeah. Okay. I don't need to tell you my name because that's already been set up. But I'm a recovered addict. I'm a survivor of suicide, and I've lived with depression and anxiety from about the age of 11. Today, I'm a free man. I still have my problems from time to time, but for the majority, I consider myself to be recovered, and that's a really important word. Because for me it means that I've done the work and I'm done. Doesn't mean I'm not susceptible, but every day is different.
Do you find yourself falling back into bad habits and bad thoughts if you don't keep a certain routine or structure?
Oh, absolutely. So structure and routine for me are the medicine I take to keep myself mentally fit and healthy. Without those things, slowly but surely, the wheels start to fall off, or they get a bit wobbly.
And you can feel that coming?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. It sort of depends on what's going around me, and sort of what type of events are happening. But and sometimes I'm lucky enough that my loved ones sort of pick me up and go, "Hey, man, you better, you're not flying right. It's time to get back on the horse."
And you need them to tune it to remind you, more so than trying to self-evaluate and do it yourself? Or is it a bit of a combination?
I sort of think of I'm an acrobat, right? And sometimes they're the person at the other end of the high wire, ready to grab me when I'm flying, and sometimes they're the safety net. And it really depends. Like I quite often, I can sit there and go, actually, what's happening around me and the way that I'm reacting to the world isn't the way I want to behave. And therefore I start to, or I'm not feeling the way I like to feel, or it's really just, I can't be bothered getting up in the morning. And that happens a number of times in a row. And then I'm like, right, this is not good. And then sometimes, my wife will just tap me on the shoulder and just say, look, are you, you haven't been swimming for a couple of days, or you haven't been doing that, and you don't seem to be your normal self. So it's a mixture of things, really.
Mate, take me back one step, and I know you and I have talked about this, but it's really, do you find it confronting still to talk about that you have had attempts at taking your own life? I know you've spoken to me really openly and honestly. Do you find that hard at all?
Not really. Like sometimes I get quite emotional about it.
Yeah.
And that's not because I feel any pain or, definitely, or remorse. It's more that I can't believe that I'm actually here. And that I've come out of this thing, and my life is that I actually have a life today. Like I didn't have one of those things before, and so I think it's that sort of emotion that gets up me, makes it sometimes appear to be more difficult than it is for me. But in reality, it seems to be. It's almost like sometimes that was something that I've watched on a movie, and it's not me anymore.
Yeah. And when you come across other people, and because people are drawn to you the way you are, when people come to you and they say that they've had similar thoughts about taking their own life, and they may have tried, how confronting is that for you? Or is your thoughts now that it's my turn to help?
I think my first thing is always just I feel their pain and what they're in, and I do want to actually try and help guide them through the journey, and help point them to the help that they need, because I can't make them well, but I can help. I can be the co-pilot in the journey for them to help get to where they need to go and get the help and support that they need. I always try to, I suppose, just listen to what they're saying. And recognise that they've got some stuff going on, and it hurts.
Do you find that they relate to you because you have had those feelings and those thoughts, and you've been to that really, really dark place that you've told me about? Do they confide in you easier, or do you think it's more so just about the questions you ask?
I think when I was like that, I confided in people that weren't necessarily, who hadn't necessarily walked the same path as me, and I did so for people who showed compassion and empathy towards me, and understood and acknowledged the what was going on and how difficult that might actually be. And the people that I sort of moved back from were people that were like, "Oh, you'll be right, mate. Just pull your socks up and off you go." And there's definitely something where people who have been on similar, like someone will relate to me who's walked the same path, because they know that I've been there. That's one thing, but it doesn't mean that someone like yourself can have a valuable conversation with someone like myself in that moment.
Yeah, so I picked up something there. You said that it's not necessarily whether you've been through it or not. It's the type of questions you ask, and someone who's showing empathy towards you and prepared to listen and say to you, that must be shocking, and show some love and care, which is all free, mind, by the way. You don't need to be a trained professional to do that. And you said that the people who you didn't relate to and you didn't open up to were those who said, mate, you'll be right, just harden up, get on with it.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
all of us have got the capabilities of showing empathy towards others. And that's, I think, a real key message that I've got out of you over the last couple of years is you don't need to have walked in the same shoes. You just need to stop, shut your mouth and listen, and then show some empathy and sympathy towards someone and help them, guide them through. You don't have to have the answers.
Yep. And I think a really important thing is that, I think we have this expectation, or at least I do at times, that I need to have all the answers and I need to be the thing, that the cure-all, I suppose. And it's actually just as powerful to say, look, I don't know what to do here, man.
Yeah.
However, what I think we should do is, there's lots of places that you can go, like Beyond Blue or Are You Okay? There's places that you can get the right help that you need. And if you need someone to be there with you, I will be there.
Yeah. And Lifeline too. Lifeline are a huge network of support. Now, mate, you got out of it by, one of the things that helped you out of it was marathon swimming. Could you not pick a bloody easier thing to do, mate?
Well, I don't really find it. I mean, it's physically demanding, but I love swimming.
No shit, it's stupid. Mate, there's a million things you could have bloody done.
Yeah, probably.
You could have taken up, I don't know, shot put or bocce, I don't know, but marathon swimming, mate, how'd you get to there? I'm tipping that wasn't the first one on the list, marathon swimming.
No. In fact, it was the last thing that I found. In trying to through my recovery process, I wanted I was rebuilding Luke right from the ground up, and so I went and I did ballroom dancing, I went back and I started.
Can you show us some? Can you stand up and show us some? Can you stand up and show us it? No? Okay.
No. I've actually got nothing on under this T-shirt.
Knowing you, that's probably true.
Yeah, just my Speedos. I tried that. I tried martial arts. I tried, I tried mountain biking. I tried cycling. And it wasn't really until my wife, she was a pool swimmer. And she turned around to me and said, I want you to come for a swim. We hadn't been going out for a very long time. And I used to like doing that. Got in the pool, absolutely loved it. She had a dream to do the Lawn Pier pub. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll do it with you. And then from the moment I got into the open water, I was like, this is where I need to be all the time. And it just, like these ultra distance swimmings, I think they're a perfect metaphor for recovery. Because I can't do those swims by myself, just like I couldn't get well by myself. To do, a 35-kilometre swim, I need a kayaker, I need a boat, I need someone to watch over you and make sure that I'm swimming at the right rate and feeding me and doing all these crazy things. And that's exactly what my recovery has been like, and what really, everyone's recovery that I know has been like.
So does the duration play a big part of it? Like it's just... it's the time out there by yourself, having your thoughts. Is it better to have something like that, or rather than something that's short and sharp? Like, I don't know, maybe 100-meter swim?
I think what happens is that I just get into a trance with it. So, I think like my longest swim's been 10 hours and 21 minutes. And I actually just don't remember a whole lot of it. Like I was just, I remember the last 5 kilometers when I had to literally sprint to make it to the shore on time.
You had to sprint the last 5 kilometers, did you say?
I had to sprint. I had to swim as the fastest I possibly could to get to make it. Anyway, it's another story for another time, I think. My
shoulders are hurting just thinking about that, and my lungs are hurting.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's look, people who run and do sports will you get into a rhythm of things that just is effortless, and you can go for forever. And that's not, I'm not really, like, I'm working, but I'm not pushing myself to the end to the end of my speed or anything like that.
So you talk about your wife and the ability of her to be able to recognise in you what's not going right, and your mates. She must be an amazing lady.
She is. Yeah, I mean, I met her in recovery. She doesn't know. She hasn't known me with a drink or anything else. I mean, I've had my moments in recovery. We've had a couple of black spots, let's just call them that. And I'm able to be completely open and honest with her in every way. I've had to tell her that I was feeling suicidal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was probably one of the hardest things I've had to do, but actually the best thing I had to do, and it was an illustration of the difference between Luke of before and Luke of today, because Luke of before would have let those thoughts just fester for a long time, until they became persistent. And I think that's the thing with when you're struggling. It's very easy for the way that you feel to sort of snowball and then become an avalanche and then just consume you. Whereas if you sort of deal with it then and then, as we did, it was something that was gone as quickly as it began. And the reality of these is that getting back into my routine, which I was not following, not doing the things that I know that I need to do to keep myself well, was the first thing that we went to. Stop. What aren't I doing today that I normally do? Well, you're not getting up at the same time, Luke. You're not getting to the pool anymore. You're eating stupid food that make you feel fat and ridiculous. So you're not feeling good. You're not doing anything to try and find a new job. So you feel like everything's hopeless. Right. So we chipped away at a plan to put all of those things back in place, and I came around pretty quick.
Oh, mate, I just can't. I don't know what it would be like to sit your partner down and say that. Knowing that you've had to do that, mate, it's unbelievable that you've had to do that. And your wife's she's an amazing lady. And because let's be honest, there's people that would scare the shit out of, and they would run the other way. And to have the courage that you've got to be able to sit someone down and tell them that is. Mate, there'll be people watching this. I guarantee you, mate. There'll be people watching this, and people watch this in coming weeks that would be sitting there going, "I haven't got the heart. I can't." And we've been at functions, mate. You've been at functions that we've had where we've had open mics, and they've told a room of 160 people their darkest secrets that they haven't even told their partner. You were there that night.
Yeah.
I find that extraordinary, and that's the power of what we're trying to create, that openness and that feeling of love with no judgment. So to be able to do that, mate, I love you, and I just think you're an incredible man, and what you've been through and how you've come through the other end, and how you still have your moments. I know we talk about that, but what you do to recognise what you need to do for your boys as well, mate. Your little boys, I love them. I saw them on the screen the other day, and we were doing little fist pumps. And mate, one thing when we were talking the other day, hang on, mate, I got to put my glasses on. I'm getting blinder. One thing you said the other day, you said this really hit me. Ask for help, receive help, happy to help. That's pretty much your life journey, mate.
Yeah.
Right there. The power to ask for help and then to be able to receive it, which men are pretty ordinary at. So having the courage to say you're in trouble and then receive help for that and then be happy to help others. It's like paying it forward.
Yep. I think, and the receiving help is one of the hardest things, I think, to do. I mean, I didn't ever feel like I deserved it or was worthy of it. If you asked me beforehand, I think I should have just been, left out on the street with the garbage, and that's a lot of that thought actually made me, not even ask for it because I didn't think that I deserved it. I'd wreaked a lot of havoc on my loved ones and on my parents, I'd gone to them for help a lot of times, and then and ended up not being successful. But when you get to the point, I suppose with anyone who's out there or is listening, and you're struggling with anything, it doesn't have to be the bottle or whatever it may be. There just may be something. Asking for help and being prepared to make a mistake along the journey of changing things is the most important thing. Like, you can make mistakes in it. It took me, I don't know, probably 1,000 tries to get to put down the bottle, and it took me a whole heap of work, and I got a lot of stuff wrong before the depression finally lifted. And today, there's a lot of work that goes into just not being an anxious person.
Yeah, it doesn't suddenly just turn off. It's obviously a work in progress but you knowing the triggers like you do now, but that takes a lot of education. That just takes a lot of the ability to listen and receive information and receive help constantly to get to where you are. Like, it's obviously a journey that you need to buckle up and get into.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that, again, like, if we come back to being supported through that process, I had my best mate. We know that my best mate, for most of the people who probably wouldn't know, I dragged him down to the bottom, to the depths of hell with me, and he was there. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. And there's one of those moments, and he and on the way out and on the way up, he's been with me still, and he was always checking in. We check in with each other today, and he's not a counsellor. He's nothing. To me, he's something incredibly special. But he's just a normal dude.
And he's the love that he's obviously shown for you just is reciprocal, and has made all the difference to you, mate. I mean, we've talked about your dad and your mate, and we've talked about having a similar, we were about to run an event with you guys up on stage, telling your story, and then having your dad and your best mate, so that we could cover all aspects of this. So, we could have fathers there with their sons and their mates, and just cover every angle of this and have an open conversation with you, your dad, Kim, who's an amazing man. I saw Kim at the Lawn Bowls event late last year, and he's so proud of you, mate. He's so proud of you. He's walked every step of this shit with you, and he's a jet. You're so lucky to have him and your mate, and we will do that, mate. We will do, once this COVID crap is over, we will do that. And if it drags on for too long, we'll just get your dad and your mate, and we'll do it like this. But we have to do it, because I think it's really important for fathers out there and sons, because your dad's generation is so different to what our generation is. And we've talked about this at the events, that, we now, blokes in our generation, don't father the way they were fathered, or the way they don't parent the way they were parented. And which is a really, really good thing, because the days of, as you said before, mate, just get on with it, suck it up, you'll be fine, they're gone. They don't work with kids.
They have to be.
They have to be. Exactly right. And you are absolutely living proof of why it should be gone. Okay? Yep. Now, my wonderful producer is sitting here telling me, thank you, Matthew, he's telling me we've got some questions. So I'm going to put the glasses on. And he is going to punch up some questions onto the screen.
Yes, I like collados.
I've got to do it. I've got to do it. Oh, no, that's chat. Sorry, wrong questions. Sorry to everyone there seeing all this. All right, here we go. First question, what are the main techniques you practice when helping your mates when they ask for your help?
Yep. I think I tend to try and ask questions that lead them down to a path. And for me, that's things like, okay, well, what's happening to you now? How do you feel about it? What do you want to change? And what are you prepared to do? Things like, aren't you sick and tired? Are you tired of life being this way?
Yeah.
And would you do anything for things to change? And they're questions that people tend to open up to a little bit. But I think, in the reality, the best question that you can ask is how's your day been? If you've got a friend and you're not sure, how's your day been out of 1 to 10, and how long has it been going? I think that, to me, that's the best thing anyone can ever ask. And the reason for that is that I'm a numerical person. And if you give me, are you a 9, no, I'm a 2, or I'm a 4, I'll tell you a number, because the numbers, I've got no emotional attachment to that number.
Yeah.
But if you say, how's your day going today? I'm all right, mate. I'm all good.
Exactly. There's no information.
And that type of question can then lead to you, okay, well, what's happening? What's happening for you? What's going on? Oh, well, I've got trouble with the girlfriend, or whatever it may be. How long has it been going on for? And those are probably the best questions that I think, and we can put together some, I think, and post them up on the website, because I've got a bit of a kit bag of things that can tend to work.
The other thing is too, and remiss of me for not mentioning this, is, mate, you are training your ass off to do the English Channel.
Yeah.
Mate, 80 kilometres, I researched the other day, 80 kilometres.
Yeah, it's so it'll probably, no, for me, it'll swim probably more like 40. So it's 32 Ks as the crow flies.
Yep.
But yeah.
I thought people were doing 80. You're going to have to swim back, mate.
Mate, if I say double crossing, Dominique's going to leave me. She's already looking at me. She's just come home. She's going, what, 80? What are you talking about? But yeah, it's I'm training. I still don't know whether or not I'm going to swim or not. It's more than likely that I'm not, which is fine, because I could train my guts out, arrive, and then be pushed out for a year. And there's lots of things that I'd rather step up to that beach and be 100% ready than be sort of so ready.
Who are you doing that for, mate? Are you doing that for you, or are you doing that to you? Tell me.
Yeah, so when I started when I came out of the closet about a lot of my problems a few years ago, it was because Grant Hackett was getting smashed in the press for his public addiction issues, and I realised that that the story of recovery isn't told at very rarely, and it's never generally just your average punter like me. And so the English Channel is become sort of the swim for recovery. It's about showing people that the public that have this perception that addicts are all write-offs, that actually we can change and we can do some really cool stuff. It's for the parents who have got a father, son, uncle, whatever, who's suffering with it and can't, and they can see that actually someone else has come through it and it's possible. And it's for the people who are still doing the hard yards, man, to say, you can get out of this crap. Because I did. And I'm not the only one. There's millions of us.
Yeah, and that's what a significant thing to be able to do. And I just picture you, mate. I picture you getting out of the water with your jelly legs, in your budgies, absolutely knackered. And mate, I'd love to be on the beach there in France when you did that, and I know you'll be filming it, and we'll be able to put it on.
There's a spot on that boat with your name on it, Turts.
Oh, mate, I'm the sort of, mate.
I'd get seasick.
I might start swimming with you, mate. I wouldn't be able to do the 40. I might be able to do about 3 minutes, I reckon. That'd blow me.
Mate, we can get a 100 words a relay. That you swim for an hour. Whoops, lost my camera. Swim for an hour and then get out. Swim for an hour and then get out. That's something we could always do.
Beautiful. Well, mate, just looking at the polls here, most people are having either a 7 or an 8 out of 10, and that's great.
Yep.
So for all those who have joined us tonight, Luke, mate, thank you so much. You never cease to to amaze me, mate. You're so open and honest. And as I said, anytime I give you a call, you're always good for a chat. And you're a big part of 100 Words Mate to Mate, mate. And everyone who you've ever spoken in front of is glowing in the way they think and feel about you. So, mate, from myself and the rest of the boys, thank you so much, buddy.
Mate, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. And, I love being a part of the work that you're doing, because I think it's, it's a thing that's going to change the dial out there. And, I got to give away what was given to me, and I'll talk where anyone will listen.
Good on you, mate. Now, don't forget to ring someone. Have you got someone in mind that you might ring tomorrow date?
Yeah, I'm going to ring my best mate, Matt. So we'll see how we go.
You're a good man, mate. Thank you so much for joining us. You are an absolute star, and it's been my privilege to have you. Thanks,
Craig. Cheers, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Now, next week. Now, first of all, I have, next week. Next week, we have Dr. Lawrence Hayden, who is a psychologist working here in Melbourne, part of the new telehealth initiative by the government, where all your taxes that are Medicare, you can go and have 10 sessions for free if you get a mental health plan from your GP, and then you can get another 5 added on, so you can have 15 visits for the year for free. Now, Dr. Lawrence Hayden, he was the sports psychiatrist for the Carlton Football Club during the late 70s when they won 3 or 4 flags. He was also the sports psychiatrist for the America's Cup victory that Australia had. Unbelievable individual. I went and spoke to him yesterday. He's so keen to come on. He and his partner, Robin Ballard, who's an absolute star, are going to talk you through the process and how easy this thing is to do. So they are the guests for next week. After that, we've got a few other people that we've got lined up, and I'm really looking forward to them. Now, it was remiss of me last week to thank 2 people who are dear to me. First one, my producer, Mr. Matt Walton, who's a board member, does a ton of work for 100 Words out of the goodness of his heart, as we all do, but he's a star. Matt, hats off to you, mate. Thank you so much for putting all this together. Matt also did my makeup tonight, which is not a greatest job, but we're working on that. And to a dear friend of mine, I always get emotional when I talk about this person, is Shelley Best. She's the only woman involved at 100 Words Mate to Mate, and she's a ripper. She runs a company called Splice Communications, and she gives her time and effort week in, week out, day in, day out. I ring her all the time. Matt rings her all the time, and so do the other boys from 100 Words. And she does so much for us. And Shelley, on behalf of myself and the boys, we absolutely love you and couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much. Splice Communications, she's an absolute ripper. So thank you so much to everyone. Next week, Talking with Turts. What's the date? The date will be the 28th, 8 o'clock, Dr. Lawrence Hayden, and we'll see you then. I hope your week is a 10 out of 10. I'll see you later.